is from COVID times.
Come wash your hands with me. Come wash your hands with me. Come wash your hands with me, so we can stay healthy and kind. And I'll bring you song, and song is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love that goes in all winds for time.
As good UUs, we make up our own lyrics. This lyrics is for the food drive and for the people we love.
Come meet your veggies with me. Come meet your veggies with me. Come meet your veggies with me, so we can stay healthy. And I'll bring you fruit when fruit is hard to find. And I'll bring you carrots to eat when you can't go winter time.
Have you ever wanted something so badly that it hurt? Maybe you really wanted a puppy for Hanukkah or for Christmas, or just because you really hoped for a puppy.
Or maybe you've hoped that your hard work would finally pay off, would look like what your boss was always wanting to get you that promotion, or maybe you were hoping that a family member would finally be open to reconciling after all those years, or maybe you've hoped for the end of war, for political protections for you and your family. You may have hoped for something that feels impossible.
But hope keeps us going. So we're going to read, and by we, I mean Reverend Marcus is going to read a very famous poem by Emily Dickinson about hope. And before we read the poem, I want to say a couple of words in the poem might confuse you. And I say they might confuse you because they confused me. And the first word is abash, which evidently means like you're embarrassed or ashamed. I didn't know that. And the other one is extremity, which I always thought meant like, you know, the end, like your fingers or your toes. But in this poem means like you're in deep trouble. So keep that in mind as Reverend Marcus reads.
Hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. And sweetest in the gale is heard, and sore must be the storm that could abash the little bird that kept so many warm. I've heard it in the chillest land and on the strangest sea, yet never in extremity it asked a crumb of me.
The poem makes clear that hope is tougher than we think. It's not a fragile sentiment that just disappears when things get hard. It's durable. It lasts. And you don't have to earn it or pay for it, not even a crumb. Hope, it's just there in your soul, singing.
But it's not always easy to feel it, is it? Sometimes, especially maybe these days, it can feel like you barely hear it, or things feel so overwhelming and hard that it hurts, actually, when you try and listen to Hope's song.
So all of you should have received a feather today. Do you have a feather? I somehow did not get a feather, but it's okay. Hold your feather in your hands. Feel how light it is, how soft it is. Maybe run it along your palm or your fingers on your face. Tug it a little. It's more durable than you'd think.
So we want to just invite us all to do a little ritual with these feathers, because it's so hard sometimes to hold on to the hopes that are dearest to our hearts. So hard to hold them for ourselves. We're going to invite you to take your feather and, in a moment, turn to someone next to you in the pew or behind you. You might find someone who you didn't come to church with. And you're going to exchange your feathers. And when someone hands you their feather, take a moment with this. Take a moment and maybe even hold their hands and receive their feather and tell them this. And whatever is on your mind, you don't need to say it out loud. You can if you want, but you don't need to tell them what this hope that's hard to hold is. But when they take this feather, when you receive someone else's feather, say this: all help carry your hope, so you don't have to hold it alone. All help carry your hope, so you don't have to hold it alone. Okay? So I'm going to invite you now. Find someone, turn to them, and exchange your feathers. Oh, I think she's done. Thank you. Hold on to that feather. I invite you to take that feather of your community member's hope, this fellow traveler on this road that we know can sometimes be bleak and barren, to hold this feather along the way for them so they know they don't hold their hope alone. Put it in your purse or maybe on your dashboard or on a special place at home, and think of them from time to time. Let them know you're holding their hope for them.
And now rise in body or spirit, and then join me in singing the children out with Come Sing a Song with Me. Kindergartner first and second graders are going to go. You're going to go with them. Okay, go with it. Go with Katie. Go with Teacher Katie. Joy, come with Teacher Katie.
I made it. Don't you think that's great? I was in the ER all day yesterday, but here I am, and I love you all.
Yes.
My dear fellow UUCBers, I have been coming to this church for 40 years. I was here as Reverend Berkeley was ending his tenure and was blessed to be here during Reverend Holly Horn's brief time as our minister. She was an amazing preacher, and I credit her with my becoming a member of this church.
Welcome back.
I served on the search committee that brought us Reverend Barbara and Bill Hamilton Hallway. Wonderful, compassionate ministers. I still quote a line from one of Barbara's sermons, "The bull is already broken." If you would like, we can discuss the fullness of that sentiment during coffee hour. I was nurtured and I learned from them. They performed sin in my marriage ceremony. I am happy when I see them walking on the Arlington and glad they are having a well-earned retirement.
Food.
After Bourbonville, we had several ministers of short tenure and a period of instability.
I know.
And now I believe we have found our minister for the long term. During my years here, there have been conflicts, and we have always made it through. Freestone was a big issue for our community, but we are finding our way forward. On a different past issue, I remember one contentious meeting where the good officers from the UUA were brought in. There was yelling and tears, but in time we resolved the problem. I have faith in the good folks in this community that we will move forward together again and resolve current concerns. On a personal note, we raised our daughter in this community. Now I'm crying. I believe that the wonderful, compassionate person that she has become derives in part from her involvement in this church. Children today have so many activities that involve their bodies and minds, but do continue to bring them here for their spiritual nourishment and community that sees them and cares for their well-being. May we all open our hearts, embrace the good and honorable in each of us, and find the many blessings of this vibrant, amazing church.
I invite you to take a moment to settle more deeply into your seat. To take a deeper, a slower breath, to feel your connection down to this good, this sacred earth. To enjoy the sounds of life around us as we dwell inward together. And the angel said unto her, Fear not, Mary, for thou hast found favor with God. And behold, thou shalt conceive in thy womb and bring forth a son. And if an angel came to awaken you, spoke of a new world arriving, a new way, a new life, declaring that you will be its parent, its mother, its father, that you are to conceive the holy amidst all this mess. And you know that when it calls you honored one, it means you'll live through chaos and tumult. It says you are favored by God, and you know it means all you most love you will lose. Mysterious source within and among us and beyond us, that which touches the bare branches and hills and beckons us to grow once more, let us welcome you, love the guest, love the rose, love the star, love that will break our hearts, love that will break us open. May we say yes once more to conceive of this love. May you say yes. You honored one, you favored of God. Let us dwell in quiet and stillness with one another. In this community of care and witness, we hold one another through the seasons of our lives. We lift up each week those joys and sorrows among us. Today we wish a very happy 80th birthday to Carrie Simpson. Thanks for sharing your words with us to honor your birthday today. We're thinking today with Andrew Swan about my sister Alice as she begins chemotherapy. And with someone else, prayers and healing wishes for my sister who's in a psychiatric hospital. We lift up Judy Sam with love and thanks to my old friend Kathy, whose memorial service in St. Louis is today. You will always shine and glow. Thank you. Luke is thinking of my good friend Sean, who passed suddenly last week. I'll miss you, and I thank you for all the help and good times over the years. Deborah and Daniel Schmidt welcome your prayers for their daughter-in-law, Annabika, as she struggles with an undiagnosed illness during her first pregnancy. We're so grateful to all of you, dear UUCB. And someone invites us, let's take a moment to send love to our friend Ricky, who just received a scary diagnosis. You can beat this, Ricky. And someone is thinking of Frank Gehry, the architect. For these names we've spoken aloud, for all that yet remains in the silent sanctuaries of our hearts, may each of us know that what we bring to this sanctuary is held in the loving embrace of this community. Whatever you bring from wherever you are, held in our love and by that wider, wilder, wiser love, that love beyond all names, that will not, that cannot let us go. May it be so, and amen. Let's remain seated as we sing together, "The hills are bare at Bethlehem." My mom, Laurel, came out as a lesbian to her mom in 1975. And I remember her describing that her mom, my grandma's first reaction was to say how she was so sad, so disappointed that Laurel would never have children. She said it in a letter. My one regret, she wrote, is that I always thought you would make such a wonderful mother. She did. Over the years, girlfriends came and went, and then in 1981, just a couple years before Laurel met my other mom, Francie, a newspaper clipping arrived in the mail unexpectedly. Have any of you ever received newspaper clippings in the mail from your parents? This is a dying art. I don't know that my children will ever receive newspaper clippings in the mail. Well, in the newspaper clipping my mom received, there was a story about the opening of the Sperm Bank of California, a fertility clinic right here in the Bay Area, right here in Berkeley, first of its kind, helping women, especially lesbians, to have children. A grandmother's hope had been rekindled unexpectedly. The woman Laurel was with at the time was more interested in their law careers than having children. But Laurel kept the clipping. In fact, she carried it around with her in her purse every day. One day in a restaurant, just before she was to pay the bill, someone snatched that purse and ran away with it, stole her purse, and she spent the rest of the day searching dumpsters in the neighborhood. She didn't care about her ID or anything else in the purse. It was all replaceable except that newspaper clipping. That little feather of hope. So you might not be surprised to know that I've been thinking about babies. There's an old preacher's adage that says you preach with the Bible in one hand and the newspaper in the other. But what I've realized is then I don't know where do you hold the baby. And when I had that thought, I immediately thought of Charlotte Perkins Gilman, who was an early feminist theologian around the turn of the 20th century. She was writing incredible, poignant, beautiful things about how to imagine a religion that included women fully. And she took for a moment the idea of all of the philosophers and theologians of the age, all the great thinkers, to be gathered in a room together to do their great thinking work, their writing, and also in that room there would be a chute. And from that chute, every few minutes, a baby would drop in. And somehow these great thinkers, these wise old men, they'd have to figure out how to deal with all these babies showing up in their midst. I've been noticing walking around with Robin strapped to my chest early in the morning. Most mornings I'm out walking in our neighborhood with him, and the magnetic pull for my neighbors to come get a peek. You know this magnetic pull, that feeling of wanting to be close to new life, of the bodily kinesthetic transmission of a newborn's hope to all those who they encounter. So here I've been holding a baby in one hand, and more often than I want to admit, certainly more often than my baby's mother would like, the news in the other. holding this tender, precious, vulnerable being in one hand and watching clips of ICE agents brutally forcing people from their vehicles, throwing them in handcuffs, removing them from their lives, from their families, without process, without professionalism, without decency, without accountability. Holding a baby in one hand and the news in the other these days is a disorienting feeling. Always this time of year, I think of this poem by Madeleine L'Engle, called it The Risk of Birth. This is no time for a child to be born, with the earth betrayed by war and hate, and a comet slashing the sky to warn that time runs out and the sun burns late. That was no time for a child to be born in a land in the crushing grip of Rome. Honor and truth were trampled by scorn, yet here did the Savior make his home. When is the time for love to be born? The inn is full on planet Earth. And by a comet, the sky is torn, yet love still takes the risk of birth. Yet love still takes the risk of birth. In that story of the Annunciation, and I always picture when Gabriel comes with that flaming sword to announce to Mary, starting off, "Fear not," with the, I imagine it as a pregnancy test, that flaming sword. A big, positive, flaming pregnancy test. Scary times, exciting times, overwhelming times. Mary, 14, 15 years old, young, overwhelmed. The story is easy to tell. She's just a pawn in this moment, just going along. The patriarchs would tell us that Mary simply submits to the plan the angel announces to her. Simply says, "Yeah, sure." But in the poetic imagination of Denise Levertov, Mary has a different kind of choice. She says, "Aren't there annunciations of one sort or another in most lives? Some unwillingly undertake great destinies, enact them in sullen pride, uncomprehending. More often, those moments when roads of light and storm open from darkness in a man or woman are turned away from in dread, in a wave of weakness and despair, and with relief. Ordinary lives continue. God does not smite them, but the gates close. The pathway vanishes. What annunciations have come to your life? What gates closed or pathways vanished? When the risk of love comes knocking with the news at your door, comes to perch on the branch outside your bedroom window, asking if you will finally find the courage to say to a loved one, "We need to talk," comes as an alert in your text messages or on a signal thread about ICE agents in your city, coming for your neighbors. Levertov says these annunciations arrive not with compulsion, but with an invitation. God will not smite us for saying no. Because God only knows what will happen. Any new parent can rattle off 1,000 ways their vulnerable little one might come to harm. Anyone with any sense of reality knows the risk may not pay off. Anyone who reads the news knows the facts don't add up to hope. So there's something that can feel so weak, so anemic about this idea of hope. Maria Popova, that acclaimed writer who started the blog Brain Pickings, she says that hope without critical thinking is naivete. It's Pollyanna hope. And I'll tell you, my mom, and she came by it honestly with that newspaper clipping in the mail, she loved that movie. She made us watch Pollyanna probably every year of my childhood. You know, the version of the story with Haley Mills and, yeah. Going away with the newspaper clippings. But do you remember the Glad game? It's the game the orphan Pollyanna learned from her late father. The game started on Christmas one year when Pollyanna opened her barrel from the missionaries, the orphan getting this charity of Christmas gift, hoping to get a doll, and instead finds only crutches. In what I can only imagine was the desperate improvisation of parenthood, her father makes up the glad game. Find something to be glad about in any situation, no matter how bleak. That Christmas, Pollyanna was glad about the crutches because she didn't have to use them. Pollyanna hope. And yet that glad game turns the town on its head. While Maria Popova dismisses hope without critical thinking as naivete, she also claims the necessity of hope because she says critical thinking without hope is cynicism. And cynicism is a dangerous thing indeed. So into this dance of critical thinking and hope, of Pollyanna and cynicism and naivete, I think of the writer Andrew Solomon, who writes extensively about depression. You know his work. He says that accuracy of perception is not actually an evolutionary priority. Normal human thought and perception is marked not by accuracy, but by positive self-enhancing illusions about the self, about the world, about the future. He talks about the work of a researcher, Shelley Taylor at UCLA. She explains how the mildly depressed actually appear to have a more accurate view of themselves, the world, and the future than do other people. The mildly depressed lack the positive illusions that can promote mental health and resiliency, illusions that might help buffer against the normal vicissitudes, the setbacks of life. How do we hold to an honest accounting of reality while also cherishing our evolutionarily adaptive capacity for positive illusion? How do we find a hope that is not divorced from critical thinking, hope that has grit, that is steeped in the boiling waters of realism? Where does this hope come from? And I wonder if maybe we start our search for it in its absence, in that place called hopelessness or despair. Because while it is a funny thing that hope can be understood as weak or anemic, can feel like a thin word, no one would ever level that charge at its evil twin. Those who've known hopelessness, despair, in themselves or in those they love, they know its power to suck light from a sunny day, to hollow out all achievement and success, to cast the shadow of the worst of the past and present across the whole of the future to come. When I felt worst hopelessness and despair, I felt like a prisoner to time, unable to summon a spark of hope within. And like Pollyanna, when she is finally flattened on the hospital bed, unable to feel her legs, unable to be glad about anything. The paradox of despair is that while we are in it, it feels as though we are disconnected and separate from everything else, isolated and alone in our hopelessness. But facing our own hopelessness, living through despair, in fact, connects us more deeply to every other person who has ever lived and struggled like us. Connects us to a bigger story of an original struggle that puts us on the same brutal page as every other human life. Because when Pollyanna lays in that bed and can't summon anything to be glad about herself, she is flooded by a river of visitors. People who once rolled their eyes at her, but who have been profoundly impacted by her special brand of hope. When Pollyanna can't play the glad game for herself, the game isn't over yet. Well, the newspaper clipping did end up lost forever. My mom always remembered the sperm bank. When she met my other mom, Francie, one of the things that brought them together was that they both knew they wanted to have kids. That knowing made their decision to leave their current partners who didn't want kids and begin a relationship with each other. 3 decades later, I served on the board of that sperm bank that arrived in a newspaper clipping from a mom seeing a new possibility of how life might arrive. The motto of the organization is making the dream of family a reality. Each year, hundreds of women and couples are able to make their dreams of family a reality through the bank. Participating in hope is about saying yes without knowing it will all turn out okay. It's about abandoning all the good rational reasons not to play and throwing in your lot with the mysterious unfolding of hope in the world, whether you believe in angels or not. It's about Mary knowing she had her cousin Elizabeth, who was pregnant and just a little bit ahead of her, and believing Joseph would stay by her side. Saying yes to the risk of love the angel came to offer. Levertov offers the moment like this. She did not cry, Mary, I cannot, I am not worthy, nor I have not the strength. She did not submit with gritted teeth, raging, coerced. Bravest of all humans, consent illumined her. The room filled with its light. The lily glowed in it, and the iridescent wings. Consent, courage, unparalleled. Consent, courage, unparalleled, opened her utterly. How shocked Joseph and Mary were to find out they were pregnant. Then to suddenly upend their lives and head for Bethlehem, migrants traveling through treacherous times with a despot decreeing by whim, to find themselves dependent on the care of strangers. Life was not supposed to arrive in this way. She was overwhelmed and in need of help. He didn't know what to do. This kind of moment will shape the rest of your life. The blessing of hope is this: you are not responsible for keeping it alive. Whether our angels come bearing flaming swords through newspaper clippings in the mail or through challenges like an unplanned pregnancy, life invites us to risk love yet again. Despite our more rational judgment, to say yes to the holy conspiracy of hope. Hope, true, simple, honest hope, may not be strong and burly, may not be a blazing beacon bright enough to burn away fear and keep despair at bay. It cannot eradicate poverty or end war or save the child. Not every mom accepts her child's sexuality. Some families torn apart by the violence of the state are never reunited. Even babies die each day to famine and violence. Yet, not even the worst atrocity in the news can negate the good news of newborn life. Perched on the soul, singing its tune with words in the chillest land, never stopping at all, burning in the flame that illuminates even the longest night, spoken in whispers among those waiting for a sign, a baby, a savior, squeaking in the voice of a child playing the glad game, holy in the rasping breath of the deathbed. Hand still held out with warmth, offering children and grandchildren blessing even as life comes to an end. Beware, the headlines warn. Beware, the headlines warn. Be hope, the babe's face invites once more. Be illumined with the good news you were born to share. May it be so, and amen.
Good morning. Test, test. Good morning. My name is Kristen Jensen, and I'm a member of your Board of Trustees. In our covenantal community, we share the responsibility of pursuing our mission by giving generously of our time, talent, and treasure. I invite you to support the work of our church through a financial contribution. There are a couple ways of doing this. You can give electronically by scanning the QR code on the back of your badge, or you can put a cash or check donation into the donation envelope that you will find in back of the pew in front of you. When you leave the service, you can put the envelope into the donation box beside the atrium fountain. Each week, half of our offering is shared with a nonprofit Good Neighbor. The Good Neighbor for this month is NIAD, which is a progressive art studio for adults, artists with developmental disabilities, nurturing independence through artistic development. Caitlin Gleason is here. She's the development director, and she's going to tell you a little bit more about the organization.
Hi, thank you so much for having me and welcoming me to talk about NIAD. It's been a lovely time so far, so thank you so much. I am Caitlin Gleason. I'm the Director of Development at NIAD Art Center, and today I'm thrilled to share with you how NIAD is creating space for talented artists with disabilities to thrive professionally and contribute to our cultural community. NIAD stands for Nurturing Independence Through Artistic Development. We're located on 23rd Street in Richmond, and we've been pioneering disability arts for over 40 years. We provide professional studio space, materials, and support for artists with developmental and intellectual disabilities to create, exhibit, and sell their work. Our artists work in painting, drawing, sculpture, textiles, and mixed media. We also have like a performance space that we're setting up now as artists are becoming more interested in working across genres. And they're creating bold, innovative work that's shown in galleries locally and nationally, including most recently the Museum of Modern Art in New York. These are professional working artists building careers and contributing their unique perspectives to the art world. Each piece reflects their individual vision, creativity, and voice. Their work is authentic, powerful, and market-worthy. Just a few ways to get involved with NIAD if you're interested. One is potentially visiting our website and signing up for our mailing list. That will give you all the information on the programming that we do. There are volunteer opportunities. If you're interested, there's around events, there's a lot of volunteer opportunities, or if you're interested in working in the studio directly with our artists, there are opportunities to that, and always very welcome. Attending our events. We have openings monthly, more or less, throughout the year. At our gallery in Richmond, and then you can also browse online where we have a variety of artworks for sale. And then finally, financial support helps us provide free studio access, materials, and professional development for our artists. When you donate to NIAD, you're directly supporting artists, ensuring they have space, materials, and opportunities to create and share their work with the world. I'd also personally love to invite everyone to our holiday spectacular that is happening next Saturday, December 13th at our studios in Richmond. It's a big, really fun open studio event. If you're interested in buying a work, we'll have many for sale. Our artists will be there. There's going to be a DJ. It's going to be great. So if you want to attend, please do, and also I'll be around to chat with anyone interested in NIAD. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for describing your organization. It sounds amazing, Caitlin. Thank you. Will you join me in rededicating ourselves to our mission? We dedicate our offering and ourselves to the mission of this congregation to create loving community, inspire spiritual growth, and encourage lives of integrity, joy, and service.
Thank you, Brian. Hola, buenos días. No escuché, I didn't hear. Gracias. Me llamo Charis Domador. My name is Charis Domador. If you're new to our church and you'd like to learn more about how to get connected, I invite you to our monthly newcomer Q&A right here in the sanctuary after the postlude of the service. You're welcome to go grab lunch first and then come meet me. I'll be here until about 1 a.m. There's no 1 p.m. I'm not staying that long. But there's no presentation. It's just if you have any questions about our congregation, I may or may not have some answers for you. To find out what's happening in the life of our community this December, please check out the posters around the atrium and on our main doors. And for ongoing, regularly scheduled programming, visit the news link on the homepage of our website, where you'll find our weekly email newsletter the week ahead. This week, I want to especially lift up that on Tuesday, December 9th, you can join Reverend Marcus and Reverend Catherine in conversation with Reverend Mary Catherine Mourn, the president of the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee, to learn about their human rights and social justice initiatives. And Reverend Prudhomme told me earlier today that there's also going to be soup, so go for one or the other. On Saturday, December 13th, join us in our holiday remembrance activities for card making and cookie decorating for our members 80 and better and those who could use a little extra cheer. And now I'd like to invite Natalie Campbell to tell us a little bit more about choosing our Good Neighbor recipients for next year. Natalie?
Hi, my name is Natalie Campbell, and I'm on the Good Neighbor Committee. And I want to thank everyone who nominated local nonprofits this year as we work towards working together to choose our 12 Good Neighbor recipients for next year, 2026. This past fall, 25 organizations were nominated by all of you. Thank you. It was the highest number of organizations ever put forward. It was amazing. After our committee followed up with the nonprofits, we have whittled the choices down to 21 organizations, and they are all really deserving and quite impressive. Now, we need to select which 12 will be our 2026 monthly Good Neighbors. Good neighbors like Naiad, who we heard from this morning. You can be a part of this selection. To learn more, you can check out the updated informational packets, which are online, or you can get a hard copy out at the social justice table. The info packs include each organization's mission statements and then their websites if you want to go online and find out more. They have so much to share. But the best way, and that's why I'm up here, the best way to learn about these nonprofits is to hear it from the representatives themselves, from each organization, as they share a little bit about what they do. And this will be happening this Wednesday, December 10th, from 7 to 9 p.m. at the Social Justice Council meeting on Zoom. To find out more and to get the Zoom link, go on UUCB's website, and it should all be listed there. Can't make it to the meeting? I understand. We're busy. But we will record it and send out a copy to the congregation as well. Once you've done your research and you feel like you know which nonprofits you would like to choose, you can vote in the online poll. Or if you prefer, we'll have paper ballots on the social justice table after the service next Sunday, December 14th. Please join us this Wednesday on Zoom from 7 to 9 p.m. Everyone is invited. You do not need to be a member of the Social Justice Council to attend. Thank you. I hope to see you there.
Thank you so much, Natalie. Thanks for the shepherding of this such an important program to keep us connected with our community, to show up in the ways that we can to spread our mission in the world. We also have been working, as we do each year, to gather food and funds for the Richmond Emergency Food Pantry, and today marks the end of that annual drive to that good neighbor of ours. So we're going to end the service a little different than usual by recessing out with this final hymn to the parking lot, where we'll see the food that's all been gathered now into vehicles to take on down to the pantry, and we'll have a final blessing and benediction out in the parking lot. So let's sing together, Rise and Body Your Spirit. We're going to sing Deck the Halls as we process on out.
Of the wind and weather, la 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 la.